Welcome everybody to this very first video on my new Magic the Gathering Arena YouTube channel, which is all about draft. I've had some test recordings in the last weeks, but I've wanted to wait until Aetherdrift comes out, and today is the day where we finally get to play with the new set. So let's just get into the first draft. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. So let's get to it. Of course, let's get to it once I've actually chosen to pay with coins, since I've been running a little low on gems. So let's hope that this is a good run and we get to draft again afterwards. I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm excited to see what cards we open and of course what our opponents are gonna come up with. And we get to start with a super sweet selection of cards. We get a rare and a mythic here right away, so that's pretty lucky. We have a Godlike Thrill Roller, a 2 and a red 4/2 trample haste vehicle that is a creature the turn it comes down, and you can return it from the graveyard by discarding a card. So I think a really strong aggressive red card with some value, but we also have what some people have considered to be the best card in the set, Sebsunin Laxa Embodied, a god, notably not a frog god, even though that seems pretty clear. Reach, trample, indestructible. The turn she comes down, she can block. The turn she can block and attack like a normal creature could. The turn after that she can't, but you get to draw cards, and then it alternates between that. She keeps growing, and she either is a creature or she draws the 2 cards. That's some pretty crazy value. So I guess our goal for this draft is going to be to keep us alive until we get to put down a Sebsunin. Of course, she comes down on turn 5, and she is a blocker right away with indestructible and reach. So that's a pretty big deal. So let's try to draft a deck that, just gets to cast our Sebsunin. Here we have a Midnight Mangler, a pretty good blue creature. This is a defensive 3/3 on your opponent's turn, and if you have some creatures, you might even get in with this. And then we have a Porthole Mole, which is probably what I'm gonna take here. There's also a Stock Up, which seems to be a pretty good blue card, but with the Sebsunin, I'd much rather have the green creature that impacts the board, gets us lands, gets us to up Sebsunin. And I'm pretty happy with that. Apart from that, nothing else that I would consider here. Maybe a Ticket Tortoise as a cheap blocker, but I think the Porthole Mole puts us in the right colors and helps us pretty nicely if we want to be a mid-range blue-green deck. So here we have a Nimble Aetherdrift, which is pretty good. It's a 3/2 that comes with a 1/1 flyer. That's also an artifact, so it is good in the blue artifact decks. But probably also good here for us as just a mid-range creature. There's also a bounce off, but you need to capitalize on bounce spells, and I think that this deck doesn't necessarily do that, so I'd much rather have the Aetherdrift right now. There's also a Wastewood Verge, which is interesting if we want to splash, and I think green has some ways to do that. The Porthole Mole among those, as it can find a land that is of another color, but I think we're going to take the Aetherdrift here. There's also a Silken Strength, which I quite like, but more in aggressive decks. Now blue-green is the one of the color combinations that plays with the exhaust theme. There's the Scurryfoot, the 1-mana 1/1 that has a great exhaust ability that you really want to combo with the Elvish Refueler here. There's also a Trip Up, which is just a solid removal spell in blue-green, and a Roadside Blowout, which is another pretty great removal spell that just replaces itself. Yeah, returns a permanent like a creature or vehicle to opponent's hand and then draws a card for 3 mana. But also the Elvish Refueler here. We don't have any exhaust yet, though this is pretty nice if you get that. I think I'm gonna go with the removal spell now though, because I wanna get some removal spells in the deck eventually. And we're continuing to see blue and green cards, which is pretty nice. Now we don't have any 2-drops yet, which makes me want to take the Walking Sarcophagus a little bit more higher. This isn't a premium card, of course. There's a Hull Drifter here, but we have card advantage already. And then another Nimble Thopterist. There's also a Loxodon Surveyor, which just has the Start Your Engines and the ability that lets you draw a card if you exile this from your graveyard, which all of these Surveyor creatures have in this cycle. This is another 4-drop. I don't want to have another 5-drop. I think I'm fine taking the second Thopterist here. And now we see a Point the Way, which is something that I really don't want. 5 mana for 2 lands is just too expensive. A Marshal's Path Cruiser is fun, though I doubt that we can make a 5-color deck work necessarily. At least not now. Granted, the Sepsonin can crew this, but you really need to get to the colors to crew this. There's also a Broken Wings here, which I might take just as a removal spell that I think is pretty serviceable. Okay, here we see another Broken Wings, but I'm way less happy about the second copy. And an Ether Jacket. It's another 3-drop. There's also a Haunter Network. And in case green doesn't work out for us, we could just potentially have a start to a blue-black artifact deck as well. And then even splash the Sepsonin. So I think I'm going to take that because it has the highest upside. And now we see a Pact Doll Terror, which would go with the plan, but is another 4-drop. So I think here I'm gonna just take the Night Market. I'm not sure if Terrian is a good card. It's triple green as well. There's a Wreck Remover, which I'm not too thrilled about that. Ideally, I would want some cheap cards. But I think for now I'm gonna take the Night Market. If we splash the Haunter Network in this deck, or we splash the Sepsonin in this deck, either way, we're going to be happy to have a Night Market. Here, I'm either going to take the Spectral Interference or the Sarcophagus. And I think I'm going to take the Interference here. If we wanted to be more open towards an artifact deck, and here we see good blue and black cards late, then I might have wanted to take the Sarcophagus because it's an artifact creature, but I think we're good as is. Now, we haven't seen green really open, to be fair, but maybe also there weren't a lot of good green cards opened. That's also a possibility. To activate abilities. Is that good? I don't know. The engine rate is certainly good if we are playing black. So Wreck Remover. And here we get another Walking Sarcophagus. That's potentially gonna make our deck. Now we open a Chandra. I'm not the biggest fan of Chandra. Honestly, from what I've seen so far, I thought it's rather weak. You put it down and you can plus it to a 6 loyalty Planeswalker. And then you just get to rummage, basically. So it doesn't affect the board at all. It doesn't protect itself. You can make a vehicle, and then it becomes crewed, but it then isn't crewed during the opponent's turn. So it's also not good at protecting itself. So I'm not the biggest fan of the Chandra. If you want to continue down the green path, I could see taking another Pothole Mole here. If you wanted to just stay open to blue, I could take a stock up. In black we have the Grim Bauble. There's also a Venom Sack egg, which I'm a big fan of. I think I'm gonna take the Porthole Mole. With the Sepsunin, I think we're relatively inclined to try and be green. And it's possible that there weren't a lot of good green cards opened in the first pack. There's a Mindspring Merfolk, a Demonic Junker, and an Autarch Mammoth. If you want to be a mid-range deck, which these cards really lean into, then I think a Mammoth is going to be pretty great. Let's see if we wheel the other Haunter Network, maybe. Of course, the Mindspring Merfolk is another cheap card that gives us card advantage, but I think the Mammoth is just a pretty strong mid-range card. Okay, here we see another mole, a Gibberic Omnivore, which I'm relatively happy with as just a mid-range creature. Nothing special, but it just trades. Target creature you control fights. We don't have the biggest creatures apart from the Mammoth. Or you destroy a vehicle. It is flexible though. I think I'm happy with a third mole. Or maybe we take the first Omnivore as a 2-mana blocker. The Midnight Mangler of course is also a blocker, but I'd rather have one Midnight Mangler or 2 Midnight Manglers and 2 Omnivores than 4 Manglers, because then you can crew them in attack. Okay, here we see another Porthole Mole. We also see a Ratchetdoll, which is a pretty good black card for the artifacts deck. That's cheap. We see another Nimblethopterist. And we also see a land here. I like the land, but I don't think it's better than just taking a Porthole Mole here. I think these just set us up for the mid to late game pretty well. And with 3 of them we can start looking at some cards like the Gravestalker, the Prophet of the Graveyard. So I'm a fan. Here we have a Fang Guardian, and now we start seeing more green cards. So it's possible that in the first pack there just weren't a lot of good green cards opened. The Fang Guardian is a pretty great creature. It can ambush something, and it can help something else on your battlefield become a reasonable blocker. Just a good creature, I think. So let's take that. Also a Night Market here and another Mangler, but I don't think we'll be short on those. And now we see, wow, we see a Scurryfoot, which is a really good common, I think. If I had taken that that Fueler, I would be more inclined to take this. But here's a Debris Beetle, and I think we are pretty happy to just take that and potentially splash it. It's a really big body, and the life drain matters as well, so I'm quite happy to take that here. And now we get a Pathbreaker Ibex. So there's a Velohard Bike, which I'm also a fan of. This helps us splash stuff. It gains some life, it ramps you, and then in the late game you can just trade this off with something. So I think that makes this a really solid card. But there's also the Pathbreaker Ibex, and I think that's gonna be another potential way to get us through. But I just took the bike here, just more consistent in our deck. Here I'm gonna take a Dismal Backwater for fixing. And yeah, I think Sulta is the colors where we are supposed to be. Here I'm gonna take a Trip Up, probably. The Venom Sack egg I'm a big fan of as well, though. Also the engine, but I would like this way more if we were a base green-black, so that's why I took the Trip Up. Here we have a Ripclaw Wrangler, not the biggest fan of that. A Camera Launcher is another 3-drop. A Silken Strength. I'm not sure if the Silken Strength will make our deck. The Midnight Mangler probably will. Here we take the Gravestalker, even though I'm probably not playing that. Yeah, and so far I think our deck looks pretty good. The red I don't think we're playing right now because we're only splashing black. And I'm not sure if we play the Haunter Network right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifact cards. That's not nothing. Wow, and we even get the Scaryfoot last pick. That's great. Here's a really good card in the red-white deck that we clearly aren't in. The legendary pilot that gives all of your mounts and vehicles haste and basically cruise or settles them the turn they come down. So that can make for a pretty explosive start. We have another Omnivore here. We have a Buccaneer. I'm not sure if this is good. I think I'd much rather have a cheap card. There's also a Marketback Walker. But the reason I'm not taking this here is because we have some card draw already. Between like the Pothole Molds, they mill us a lot. And then we also have the Sebsunin, which is gonna draw us a lot of cards potentially. And I wouldn't wanna get to a point where I have to be worried about milling myself. And here's a fourth Pothole Mold, but I think that's not necessarily a priority here. Here we have another very good 5-drop. That's also an artifact. The Spike Shell Harrier. Great card. Not the biggest fan of the Mario Kart theme. I get the joke, but I want my Magic to be more in the world of Magic. So I could have done without the reference, but I am a fan of the card. So let's take that. Here we have an Earth Rumbler, and now we are getting a little high on 5-drops. But what else are we taking? We could take another Scurryfoot. That's it basically. So I think taking the Earth Rumbler is... We have a great top end already. I think the Earth Rumbler could be good in our deck though with the 3 Pothole Molds. Like our graveyard is gonna be full, so I'm not unhappy taking that here. Here I'm gonna take another Scurryfoot. I'm not sure if we want the stock up. The thing is, the Pothole Molds set us up for later because they find us a land, hopefully. But this finds us specifically non-land, or this finds us two specific cards. So I think the first stock up might just be good enough in general to take here. Okay, here we have another Spectral Interference, which I like because we don't have a lot of removal. I'm not a biggest fan of the bounce off since we're not a tempo deck. Also a Ticket Tortoise we could take if we wanted more things to do early on, but then I think I'd much rather have the interference. So let's pick that. Okay, here we have a Godlike Matrix, which this can settle or mount something, but I don't think we need that. We have enough creatures in the deck. It's another Nimblethopterist, but we also have a lot of force already. And another Midnight Mangler, but I don't necessarily want to have 3 Manglers in the deck. I think it's gonna be the pick here though. Here we have a Venom Sac Lagak and a Jungle Hollow. I think good mana is so important. We're gonna have enough playables. I really want to have my mana figured out, so I'm gonna take the fixing here. We even wheeled the stock up, but I'm not gonna take that probably. I'm gonna take a Tortoise here. The Tortoise can help crew the Mammoth, crew the Earth Rumbler, crew the Debris Beetle, crew the Velahard Bike, crew the Mangler. So A lot of stuff that this can still do even though it's not attacking, and then it's obviously an early blocker with a high power that can trade off with an opponent's creature. Here I'm gonna take the Buccaneer just because we don't have one of those already. Now I'm gonna take a 4th mole. And a second strength, even though I'm probably not gonna run them. And a Gravestalker. Okay, so we didn't really end up with any graveyard payoffs except for maybe the Earth Rumbler. We have some strong cards in the late game, like we have the Sepsunin, we have the Debris Beetle. First thing we need to do here, of course, is get the lands for the set if we can. Yes. Oh, is this the only one that I have collected so far? Unfortunate. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to collect them then before I can choose them. That's unfortunate. Then let's take some neutral lands. Because I don't want Duskmon lands when we are in Aetherdrift territory. This might take a short moment. Okay, so let's have a look. We are being base blue-green. So we're gonna take all of our strong cards and play them. The removal spell, this removal spell, the Broken Wings we need as removal, the Debris Beetle we wanna play, Artifact 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's add some lands here. 4, 5, 6. 4, 5, 6. And then maybe 1. That's 17 lands. So this gives us 4 black, 7 and 7. We could also just not play a swamp. Let's get the Scurryfoot in here. And then let's get some cheap cards in here. We want the stock up. We want the Tortoise, I think. We want the Omnivore. And then I'm gonna have a quick look at 17 lands just to see if there are some cards that maybe I shouldn't play. But in general, I'm pretty happy. Not sure if we need the stock ups with the 4 pothole molds and the Subsunin. The roadside blowout also draws us a card. Though I think 1 stock up is probably fine. So let's have a quick look at 17 lands and then let's get into the games. Unsurprisingly, there's not enough data on 17 lands yet, so we're just gonna have to rely on our own wits. I think we probably can't use the ticket tortoise that well. The only way to really profit off this is playing it later, if the opponent started, and then we have all of these pothole molds, so I'm gonna cut that. I want the omnivores just because they have a lot of power to crew, and we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles. I want the manglers as blockers, I want the interference as early interaction, I want the Scurryfoot as an early play. Now our curve is quite high here. I've already cut one pothole mole. The Nimblethopterists just seem pretty good to me, but maybe it's worth cutting them just to get something cheaper in. Because we have a lot of great late game here already. So let's maybe cut a Thopterist and put in another cheap creature, like a cheap blocker, like the Ticket Tortoise. I think we're not starting engines at all in this deck, right? We don't have anything that starts the engines. Yeah, no engines in this deck. So, we're not racing. We're mid-ranging. We're gonna try to beat our opponent without going too fast. Slow and steady wins the game in this case, I guess, because we're not racing. So, yeah, I think I'm pretty happy. I would have liked to get some more impactful 2-drops. There were a lot of manglers going around, but I don't think we saw a lot of other 2-drops. There's also this Sky Streak Engineer, but I don't think that's better as an early play than the stuff that we have. So I think I'm quite happy. We have some powerful, like just big stuff. We have the Spike Shell Harrier, which is just a nice tempo play. We have the Earth Rumbler as an enormous body. We have the Autarch Mammoth that can start generating value elephants. We have the Sepsunin, which is obviously crazy. And then we have the Debris Beetle, which is also a mid-range beast. Yeah. We have the Silken Strengths, but I don't think that we get on the board early enough to where we then can make great use of these, maybe. Even though I am a big fan of this card, I think in a more aggressive deck, I really like this. There's also the Haunt the Network, which is another premium card that we are not having in the deck right now. It's another 5. We already have 3 5s and a 6. So that's why I don't think I necessarily want this. We have 7 artifacts, 8 with the Thopterist, so that is a pretty big number. But then what are we cutting? We need early plays, we need interaction, we need these molds and the bike to get us to our mid-range stuff. So there's nothing really that I'd like to cut. Yeah, I like this as it is. And a reason maybe to get that in would be if we feel weak against reach. We have the Sepsunin. We have the Thopterist, which makes a flying blocker, but not much else. So we have the Broken Wings that takes care of a flyer. Do we maybe go lower? Like, do we maybe just cut a stock up? I don't know. This just seems like such premium card draw. But then again, when are we casting this? We're casting this on turn 6, maybe. If we don't want to take a turn off in the early game. And then this finds us a lot of good stuff, yes, but I'm not sure. I think the Earth Rumbler is great because it just makes use of our graveyard of the portal modes. I think the Spike Shell Harrier is just a great card in general. The Otter Mammoth is also a great mid-range card. So I don't want to cut any of these. And I don't think adding another 5 to the deck is necessarily going to make it so much better. So we're just going to play it as it is. This is 9, 9, and 3, so that's pretty good on the mana. Yeah, let's try it like this. I'm pretty happy. Let's change to the game cam. And let's get into the queue. Alright, we found our first opponent. We have 2 lands on the draw. We have a stockpile and a Velohard bike though. And 2 early plays. And it's both of our colors, so I'm gonna keep. There are certainly ways in which this can go wrong. But Night Market is not one of them. I don't think we have any double color requirements apart from the Mammoth. So I'm quite okay just naming a swamp with this. Like, just make this a black land. They have a nesting bot. So let's start out with the Mangler. I played the wrong land there, to be fair. I wanted to get the Omnivore out and then follow it up with the bike. And they may just destroy this right away here. Okay, they don't. But green has a lot of 1 mana tricks. I think there's like 3 different cards in green. There's the fight / killer vehicle. There's the mega pilot / give something hexproof. And then I think there's another one. So a lot of single green interaction cards. Now we're gonna play a forest here for sure. The question is, do we want to play the Omnivore to block? It puts us a little off curve, but we can next turn. We're gonna play. If we play the bike now, the next turn we can play the stock up and the Omnivore. But if we play the Omnivore now, they don't gain the speed, and we can follow it up with the Nimbus next turn. I think I like that better. I think I like just getting the blocker down. Potentially stopping them from gaining more speed. And then if we play this on 4 and we draw another land, we can still go bike into stock up in turn 5. So a glide cast, quite good. But bouncing this or using a Broken Wings on this is gonna be a solid play later on. Okay. I'm not sure why they did that. But I'll take it. Let's just play the Aetherdrift here. Or let's attack and then play the Aetherdrift. They also miss lands. Yeah, and here they have Defend the Rider. So they had one of the 1 mana green plays. Now they can start doing stuff with their glide car. Yeah, so they make this into a 4/5 flyer. That's annoying, so we certainly want to find one of our removal spells for this eventually. But they're also gonna take 7 here. And we find the broken wings right away, that's very nice. So let's attack. Let's play the Scurryfoot. And then just kill the glide car maybe. I don't want them to have a protection spell. And if I leave up 3 mana here, it's gonna be pretty obvious that we have something. So I think I'm gonna play the Scurryfoot and then just use the broken wings right away. Yeah. Now they get to max speed. They don't have anything that pays them off for that right now. If we find a land next turn, we can still go bike into stock up. Okay, a Lotus Guard Disciple is a pretty nice card in a race, just because it gains life. Okay, we didn't find a land here. We can play the bike and hold up an interference. I think what we're gonna do though is attack with all first. Does this give indestructible? It gives indestructible. And you can do this at any time. Okay. Yeah, so let's get in with everything but the Thopter. And if they block the Scurryfoot, then we can activate it. They can have the +2/+2 trick in green as well, but that's okay, we still get an elephant out of the deal. They don't have anything though, so I'm pretty okay with that trade. I have a Pride of the Road. That is pretty good now that they have max speed. But this still kills it. So not too sure about that play. But now we can't attack in to the Pride of the Road. We can attack in with a flyer, so let's do that first. And then play the bike. And leave up the interference. Creature or artifact spell. Definitely gonna counter that. Target creature. So they can give this double strike as well. Okay. Yeah, the Pride of the Road is gonna be a problem moving forward, but our Mammoth doesn't care about it too much, to be fair. And here's the land. Let's just get down the Mammoth. It can block both of their creatures. And we get in with our flyer. If they attack with the Canyon Vaulter, then we could also double block with the Omnivore and the Elephant token. They don't have any cards. Right? They don't have any cards. Yeah, so let's trade like this. Trades with both, but that's okay, I think. Because now we can play the Earth Rumbler, crew the Mammoth, attack with the Mammoth, make another elephant. So let's exile artifact from the graveyard. Let's exile the Mangler. Let's crew the Mammoth with our Earthrumbler. And then let's attack with both of our cards. We get a 3/3 out of the deal. And they just concede. Okay. So, first game, pretty nice. Speed, never started. But game still won pretty effortlessly, I would say. So, let's get to the next one. And there we go. We have all of our colors. We have a counterspell on 2. We have a ramp on 3. No cheap creatures, but I think I'm still gonna keep this. Can't really complain about a hand like this. I think we keep up the counter for something that they play later. So let's just make a second blue here. Okay, they only have a counter spell up, so I think I'm pretty okay with putting out the bike. If they counter the bike, I'm not that mad about it. Okay, they don't, that's great. They might still have a counter, but I'm still gonna go for the Scurryfoot here. Okay, they don't, perfect. Now we can activate the Scurryfoot next turn. Or just put on the Earthrumbler. Because they played the Ether Jacket, this can destroy an artifact though. Yeah, so I don't want to put down the Ether Jacket. I think I'm gonna activate the Scurryfoot and then crew the bike with the... no, the bike has 4/2, so... Maybe we just... Broken Wings the Ether Jacket, but I don't think that that's necessarily a winning play. I think we're just gonna attack. And then make an elephant. So they are mono blue, it seems. At least so far. Okay, they attack. Are they gonna activate as well is the question. This is a sorcery, 2 mana. Okay, they do. Pretty happy about that because now I can get my Earthrumbler down more safely. And they follow it up with nothing. Okay, so let's attack first. Okay. That's fine. And then let's... Do I want to hold up the counterspell here? I don't think so. I think we want to get the Earthrumbler down. We can crew it next turn with the elephant. Okay. Now they have mana of another color if they want to. And they have. Okay. That's okay. They're still gonna... We're still gonna hit them for 5 here. I think because they don't have white yet, I'm gonna use the Broken Wings on their column because this might just cause them to be unable to play certain cards from their hand. Okay, they have a white mana, but I don't want them to have a 3-3 here. Stock up is just the perfect draw here. I don't know if there's any spell that counters this. There's maybe the one blue mana counter non-creature unless opponent plays 2, but we can pay the 2, so let's play the land. Let's play the stock up. They should not be able to counter it. Let's take a mammoth here and a pothole mole. Let's cast the pothole mole. Because if they have a counter, they can counter the pothole mole, honestly. Because then our mammoth lands. And this also puts more pressure on the board right now. Okay. This keeps this tapped, that's okay. If they leave open counters, then we can just attack. And if they do anything here that's defensive, then I get to safely put down my mammoth, so I'm pretty happy just attacking here. They take 4. Let's play an island, let's play a ticket tortoise. And then let's end the turn. Huh, them cycling this is pretty funny. Okay, they managed to get 2 blockers, 3 blockers actually. But now I can safely get the debris beetle down and kill them. Okay. So that worked out quite nicely. They just had a very slow start. Not having the white mana right away. I also think, I still think the play of destroying the mana rock for them might have been correct. Because yeah, they had like 3 other white cards, and if they didn't find the planes there, then this just strands those cards in their hand. So yeah, I'm not unhappy with the play. This is a keep. It's slow and defensive, and we don't get to be aggressive at all, but that's okay. We have a strong late game. The only thing this hand is really missing is a black source, but we have enough of those in the deck. A Venom Sack-Egg. And an opponent that's also on blue-green. They've chosen lands, I think, that look racy, like race-like, even though they also don't have the lands yet. I think that's the reason for those. I'm gonna put down the Mangler. If they wanna attack into the Mangler, I'm pretty happy, because that's what the Mangler is there for. It's just defensive. Pretty happy with the trade. Okay, also a nice draw there on the Dismal Backwater. They also missed a land, I think. So I think the best play here is putting down the Omnivore, because it can attack. I thought they might have a like a counter as well, but they didn't. And now next turn I can play... Okay, they still miss land, so this game might be over rather quickly. Let's attack. Let's play another Mangler. And then we have the counter up. Okay, they didn't find land, that's unfortunate for them. They had a 2-drop and 2 lands. Don't know what else they had, but hey, I'll take it. And let's move on to the next game. 3-0 so far. And we haven't even played our frog god. Or our goddess. That's technically not a frog, I guess. I guess if you are a divine being, you're somehow above being a frog, but come on. And there she goes. Let's keep this. We have a defensive play, we have a removal spell, and then of course we have our goddess. And let's see what Sebsunen can do. Of course they are black-white, so they might have ways to exile her. But we'll see. I have a mutant surveyor. I'm gonna counter this now because I just want to use my mana. Pectoral Terror, okay. The question is, do I want to put down a Fang Guardian here? I don't think so. Do I want to trip up here? I don't think so. Okay, let's guard down our Sebsunen. And let's hope they don't have an exile-based removal spell here. Because if they don't, then we're gonna draw 2 cards and... yeah, at that point we're basically winning. Because we draw 2 cards. The turn after that she can attack as an 8/8. So all of that seems pretty great. How are we gonna lose here? If that creature dies, exile it. Is there any card like that in the format? I don't think so. Is there... there's the Bauble. And I think there's another black removal spell that gives -X -X. I'm just not gonna block here. I don't want to risk... getting to draw 2 cards here. Okay. We can't put the Debris Beetle down right now. But we're gonna put this on black now. And I think I'm just gonna play an Omnivore and keep up a Spectral Interference here. Can I take another 3 here? I think I can. Lose indestructible. Wow. Crazy. Did they have that last turn already? That's why they attacked, because they didn't care if their creature died. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, I mean, we drew 2 cards of the Sepsunin, so we can't be that mad, and we're gonna put down a Debris Beetle next turn while still having up a counter spell, so I think I'm good. Yeah, I mean, you got it. You got it. They also now have max speed, so all of their cards are gonna be pretty great. But we're just gonna put on a Debris Beetle. And next turn we can get that into the red zone. Wow, they really had something that makes creatures lose indestructible. Okay. Yeah, they have another removal spell. It's fair. I mean, to be honest, they had a Wrath effect. Those are always incredibly limited. And then it's also a Wrath effect that, probably because it's in the same set as the gods, removes indestructible, so that is pretty crazy. So I think I'm gonna put down the Pothole Mole here. I think I'm gonna put down the Pothole Mole. Get back a land. And then we can cast any of our 3 cards here. This plays around the Spectral Interference. The question is, when are we gonna be able to use that Spectral Interference at all now? Now we have 8 mana. So let's just attack with the mole. If they block, then we can use the Fang Guardian. And then if they try anything, then we can follow it up with the Trip Up. Here we're just gonna put down the Earth Rumbler because we need to put some power on the board. I doubt that this Spectral Interference is gonna be relevant any longer, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. Yeah, they have another collision course. I'm not surprised. They are black-white after all. Yeah, now they've answered 3 of our big threats in the Sepsunin, the Debris Beetle and the Earth Rumbler. So we're kind of counting on our Mammoth here to have an impact on the game. They still have open 4 mana, so kind of a tough spot here for us. Yeah, they also have a Vigilance unblockable 3/3 creature, 3 power creature, which we can bounce at some point, but it's not ideal. Let's gain a life. Let's appreciate it. Let's attack. Again. Okay. I might have wanted to use the Fang Guardian there because I need to get that down anyways. But having both the interference and the trip up open is not the worst, I guess. Yeah, they just have too much mana now. I mean, the interference is pretty strong with unless they pay 4, but once the game has progressed so far, then I guess it loses some of its value. Okay, let's use the trip up now on the assailant. And then do we want to use the Fang Guardian here as a blocker? I don't think that's correct. Yeah, they also know that they probably know that we have the counter, so they play around it. It's gonna be a pretty tough match to win for us, I think. I mean, they had 3 removal spells, including a Wrath, and they even have that as well, that exiles a creature. Yeah, that's pretty tough. I mean, now we can put down the Fang Guardian as a blocker for the Gravestalker, but we still take 3 from the Scooter. Yeah, I think this game is pretty much over, because now we're just jumping. And they have 2 flyers. Yeah, we can't win from this point. Huh, okay. Yeah, I mean, their Wrath on our Sebsonen is what killed us. We banked on that sort of surviving because we didn't play anything on turns 3 and 4, I think. So they had the answer. I guess there's actually multiple answers in the format, but they had one of the answers. Now this is a slow hand. We're not doing anything until turn 3, and then we're also just bouncing one of their creatures. I think I still keep this. I'm not the biggest fan of mulliganing in general, and I also get to draw some cards. Okay, they put on a 3-1, that's not what we want to see. Okay, they don't affect the board right now. That's pretty nice. I can play a Ticket Tortoise here for some value. Is that worth it? If I play the bike next turn, then I can use the Tortoise if they play a land, and then still have the blowout up. Anyway, like, no matter which way, I think I want to get the bike down here. Or the Tortoise. I think putting the Tortoise down here, blocking the creature, and then playing the Thopterist next turn is also pretty nice. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. If that treasure token gets us to a Mammoth a turn early, that's probably gonna be nice. They could have any number of tricks here, of course, but not gonna play around those. Carrion Cruiser is okay. Yeah, it's some value for them. Okay, they have a big demon. I would like to see one of my counter spells now. And I think here I'm gonna play the Night Market, and the next turn I can get down the Mammoth. I can even play the Aetherdrift and the Blowout next turn, if they play a creature that's worth returning. It's -2/-2. Okay, yeah, we really want to find a counterspell for that if possible. Wow. Hey, I'm really happy about that trade. And they have a pothole mount, okay. Do they have any lands? They don't have any lands, wow. They have an Ooze Patrol, a Rise from the Wreck. Yeah, that mill. Like, they milled 3 amazing, like, synergistic cards, and they didn't hit a land. That's an absurdly bad mill for them. So, let's just get down the Mammoth here, I think. Because then I can... Yeah, just puts... the most power down, and then if I want to, I can even crew it with an Earth Rumbler next turn by exiling the Velohard Bike. Okay, now I can't do that. I can just bounce the Catrodon. That means that they're gonna gain some life. But I can then crew the... Yeah, that's absolutely worth it. So I'm gonna put the Catrodon back. I'm gonna draw a card. I'm gonna play the Pothole Mole. Okay. I'm gonna get back the tapped land, sure. And then now I can saddle this and make another 3/3. That seems pretty good. Our game plan is basically just to put a lot of power and toughness down. Because, yeah, creature. Just some big creatures. We have to find a way to push through that Catrodon though. That's gonna be tough actually. Because we don't have any hard removal spells. We don't have any sort of pump spells. We can wait until we find a Sepsunin or a Debris Beetle. Or we can try and get the Earth Rumbler to do it, but that's gonna be... That's our options basically. Yeah, and we can't attack with the Mammoth right now. So let's put down the Earth Rumbler. And then pass. We have to be aware that they have the demon, so if we make some double blocks, then they... From the milled cards, okay, they get their own Earth Rumbler, which is basically gonna be on as often as they want. Yeah, so they have more giant creatures. I'm not sure if black has any exile effects. So our Sepsunin might be able to do some real good work here if we find her. But I'm not getting through that defense of theirs anytime soon with my Mammoth. Which is somewhat concerning. And the question is... if I even play my Pothole Molds just because I need to find one of my big creatures to win the game. And if I mill them, I have no way to bring them back. Do I want to attack with my Earth Rumbler? It has Vigilance, so I guess so. I don't think there's any reason not to attack with the Earth Rumbler. It also has vigilance. More than happy with that trade. And then let's play the Aetherdrift, and I think we actually wait on the pothole mode. It doesn't add anything to the board. I mean, playing the Aetherdrift might have been a mistake as well, because yeah, the demon just gets to eat those for free basically. I also don't have anything with trample, with reach, so I can't really do anything about against their Archfiend. The Broken Wings is in the graveyard. Yeah, that's just a classic problem of blue-green removal and interaction. Let's put down the Scurryfoot. Let's activate the Scurryfoot. And then end the turn. We also still have our incredible draw spell. We still have the Debris Beetle. Yeah. But of course, our Sebsunin would solve most of our problems. She's a very large reach indestructible creature that also draws us cards. Netherland. Yeah. Surprised that they didn't attack with the Archfiend. The board is also so full that no creature really matters on the ground. So if they use their Vanguard, they just thin their deck a bit. Like, they're not terribly close to milling yet. But they might end up there. Another flyer. Wow, that's a 2-turn clock now. That's annoying. But playing the pothole mole also doesn't help that in any way. Sebsunin, save us, please. We need you. Okay, they mill themselves again. I'm kind of surprised. But I guess it doesn't matter because we just die here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of bodies as well. Seems like that's the black-green deck. Just a lot of stuff to gum up the board, like bodies everywhere. And then the flyers. Let's have a look at our deck actually. Do we want something more against flyers? Slash, how good are these debris beetles? These portal molds, I think. Probably good still. But having nothing to gain from the graveyard is a bit annoying. Like nothing that returns stuff from the graveyard. Still think our deck is pretty good as it is. I'm sure those spectral interferences didn't look amazing in the one game where the opponent got there, and in the last game they might have also not been amazing because we went so late. Maybe they are better in a deck that's more aggressive, where you try to close out the game on turn 6 or 7. So in a frame where the 4 mana really matters a lot, but once the opponent gets to like 8 or 9, they probably can cast most of their stuff without this getting them. But then we obviously need other stuff to do early. I don't want to put another Midnight Mangler in the deck necessarily. These Seek Strengths, we can't play them early, so we still need to find one of these 6 cards on turn 2. Maybe I'm gonna run one of those, because they can also help against Reach. And then we can try the Engineer, but I don't think the Engineer does a lot for us. We have 5 vehicles already. Do we want to change anything else, or do we want to just put one of the interferences back in? They were awkward now in... was it just the one game? I think it was just the one game. So maybe let's not read into that too much. Let's try the 1 Seek Strength just specifically against flyers. And let's run it like that. Let's see how this one goes. I mean, we played our god in one game and they had probably the best answer for it. But we still got 2 cards out of the deal, so it's not like we can complain at all. Opponent goes first. We don't have any 2-drops. If they play a 1-drop, then we can bounce this quite nicely. If they don't play a 1-drop, we're not that worried, maybe. So let's keep it. Again, not the biggest fan of mulliganing. Don't play a 1-drop. Ooh, do they have the Signpost Uncommon? Doesn't seem like it, otherwise they probably would have played it already. Okay, they have the other great uncommon. The Lynx. Yeah, the Lynx is pretty great. I just found a blocker for it, so that's nice, but again, they can have any number of cards here that, that, put the Lynx out of the range of the tortoise. Though they can probably not kill the tortoise and find something to recruit. This gives flying. Okay. That does it. That gets it out of the way of our tortoise. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to stop that Lynx in a good long while. And it's gonna give him a lot of value. Let's get some value of our own though. Let's put down the pothole mole. Okay, we found a land. So next turn I'm hoping to get them during combat with the Fang Guardian. Though that's not gonna happen if they only continue attacking with their flying lynx. Yeah, they have put up quite the offense here with 3 great uncommons. Let's just pass. Question is if we want to put the links back right now, because then they might just decide to put it on the bottom, or if we put on the Fang Guardian. I think it's worth using this now, because again, if we play the Fang Guardian now, then we can't get any value from it except putting down a mediocre blocker. They put it on top, okay. That's the awkward thing that I've often found with these blue-green decks. That's just one of their general weaknesses, unless they have strong blue tap removal like in the last set. Like in Duskmourn, they had 2 incredible blue removal spells. The one that makes it into an O2 toy, and then the other one that just keeps it tapped down for 1 in a blue. But if you just have fight and bounce spells, then bounce spells are clearly better when you are aggressive and pressuring the opponent. And fight spells are only good if you have big creatures, so they don't work in the early game. And both of those together don't make for a great team. And yeah, you really need the good, like good green bite spells or blue efficient removal spells like in Duskmourn to make the interaction work, I think, for blue-green. We're just gonna do nothing here and wait. The bottom mole really isn't the best in our deck because we're just not making use of our graveyard. I think you want that part as well. So we're gonna put this on the mole. They can then pump, but we can still trade with both the Omnivore and the Surveyor unless they use some sort of removal spell here. Yeah, we could block the tortoise on the omnivore and the mole on the surveyor right now, but now we can't do that. I mean, we can still block like this. But the whole situation is not ideal. They put their links back down. We put the links back. We find another land. That's a lot of land. And we only have 2 toughness creatures, so we can't really block anything but the Walter here. I mean, yeah, we can't put the Guardian on the Surveyor and we can't put the Guardian on the Beast Shredder. That's very annoying. We can't double block, and I think that's actually our best bet, because if they activate the Beast Rider, then we can still kill it. And if they have a trick, like, we are so far behind on board and we have nothing in hand. Okay, so that worked out pretty well, I would say. But we're still in a really bad spot. Yeah. Huh. They found like 2 planes off of their links right now, like in this game, maybe 3, and we so overall they drew like 5 lands and we drew 10. They just drew 5 more impactful cards. So I don't know how we're supposed to win this. They can just also start putting counters upon counters on their links and just get in for 5 now. And then the next turn for 7. We don't have any interaction left, I think. Yeah, we really need to find this the Sebsunin again, but she also can just block for 1 turn, so it's not a winning play either. Now they can start using their mana, drawing more cards. I think the Surveyor creatures... another flyer. This game is over. The Surveyor creatures, I think, look pretty good to me so far. I mean, this clearly, it's a 2-2, start your engines, first striker, that then later on replaces itself. That's pretty crazy good. There goes our frog, and we can just concede here basically. Yeah, I mean the the fact that blue and green, if you're not being proactive, suffers from bad interaction was really apparent in this game. I think we saw some more broken rings that we could have taken, and I think they hit a lot of stuff. Like in the last games, the flyers were problematic and they hit those. And then, yeah, so that's probably a good interaction spell, or like a better interaction spell in this format for sure. And then there's the uncommons that kill vehicles and the fight spells. And then, okay, there's also the run over, which we didn't see, I think. But yeah, removal in blue-green is always difficult to assemble. In the first 3 matches, we ended up winning because we had, like, the one game was a non-game where the opponent just had the 2 lands. Yeah, and then in one game they hard countered our Sebsunin, and in the last game I think we drew a little bit too much land, but they also had a pretty good proactive game plan. So we went 3-3, and what did we learn? We learned that removal is important, and we learned that I think porthole molds need something to make them worthwhile apart from getting the land. Because yes, they find you the land, yes, they get you into the later game maybe, but I don't know. Maybe we should have played the Haunt the Network. Maybe we could have played that. I wasn't really impressed with the Fang Guardian, to be honest. There's so much spots where this is awkward. Like, you have to leave up 4 mana, and then you only want to get this down basically when you can ambush your opponent. I think it's just pretty... I think it can be awkward to make this card work. And if you play this for no value, then it's horrible, because the stats alone don't make this worthwhile. Maybe it can swing a race if they don't expect you to have another 4 power on the board if you play this in their end step, but yeah, I'm not sure. The cheap creatures all did the job. I mean, that's what they're there for, especially in this deck, just trading off. Yeah, just had weak removal, and yeah, then the opponent hard countering Sebsunin in that one game. But 3-3, I mean, for the first draft, that's okay. And that's it for this very first Arena video of mine. I hope you enjoyed it. I have enough gems for another draft, so I'll probably get to that tomorrow. And eventually we'll pile up on money again, and then we can also spend gold. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll probably end up putting in some of that real world money, but that's okay, because we want to play some Aetherdrift, preferably every day. You know what to do. Leave a comment, leave a like. Tell other people that you like this content, and that's it for me for today. Bye.